Committee of the Whole meeting for Community College District 511 today, Tuesday, May 12th. Can we have, and I would like to nominate Bob Trojan, Secretary Pro Tem. Second. So I made the motion. Gloria Cadilla made the second. Roll call.
Nelson?
No. I'll change that to yes.
Okay, thanks.
Simpson?
Yes.
Trojan, yes. Goldsmith, not here. Padilla?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
Soltow? Gorski?
Yes, thank you very much. I don't believe we have any board members attending by means of other than physical presence. We will have 2 absences this evening. Communications and petitions, public comment.
No communications, petitions, public comments.
Recognition of visitor.
First, just kudos to Greg Quidar for RJC just being here on tonight. Just welcoming him, saying hello. Other than that, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Patrick Pyer to introduce or speak to our student trustee, new student trustee.
Thank you, Dr. Spearman. Good evening, trustees. It is my pleasure to introduce Sarah Ortiz Espinoza. She's going to smile. Sarah is our new student trustee for the coming year and will be joining us officially at the end of the month at our meeting on Tuesday, May 26th, and will be sworn in that evening. Sarah is currently an Associate of Science degree-seeking student in public health and planning to attend UIC in the future, but she's excited to join us, and we're not done with you yet, Isaiah, but we're welcoming Sarah tonight, so thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I would encourage you not to leave because we're going to be voting on the items at the end of the month that we're talking about tonight. So get your whole, we're going to get all your answers to all your questions. Not likely, but we'll try. Thanks. Any other visitors that you'd like to recognize?
Oh, we also have our second attorney, Elizabeth Becker. And she's a part of Robin and Schwartz, and she's shadowing Joe on this evening. And this is her first time being at a board meeting.
Welcome.
Lots of fun, right? Okay. Anybody else?
And I believe that's it for this evening.
All right. We had the minutes of the Committee of the Whole from April 14th in your packet, printed or online. Trustee Nelson.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes, but I'd
We
like to...
don't vote. This is not a
that's
voting
right.
meeting.
Excuse me.
Okay, so John and I got elected in 2017. He hasn't done that in at least 6 months, so I'll give him that. But he used to do it frequently before then. So
I get antsy.
I know you do. Just vote on it. Get her done. Which he is a kind of a get her done type of guy. General presentations.
Yes, we have 2 general presentations. We're going to start this evening with Student Education Quarterly Update from Dr. Julie Conselman, and she's going to speak to us. Really, I know she's going to bring up or talk about the survey results, but in a way that it helps us to inform us on how to address culture on campus, and that's been it was a big deal post-COVID or right after or during COVID, and it's been a big deal since. And so I want to hand it over to her so she can lead us through this conversation. Dr. Conselman?
Thank you, Dr. Spearman. Good evening, Mr. Gorski and members of the Board of Trustees, cabinet leaders, and everyone in attendance. Thanks for the opportunity to be here today with you and to provide the Student Education Quarterly Update. Today, I'm going to highlight these 4 areas and in some cases tie back to the board policy and college strategic priorities. Our work this quarter has been highly focused and intentional and grounded largely in the employee feedback from this year's culture survey and employee engagement survey. Why is this significant? Or more specifically, how does the employee feedback help us? Well, it allows us to dig deeper into operational and leadership consistency. It continues to refocus us and align ourselves to the RVC mission and communication, and it highlights areas for improvement and celebration to heighten the overall awareness of RVC as a leader among not only regionally, but also community colleges across the nation. And finally, it builds capacity in our leaders, in our teams, and in our individual people at all levels. So this quarter's cabinet retreat and LDI focused on the goal to build consistency in how we lead and support our teams. Our conversations were super hyper-focused on establishing trust, communication, and consistency. You've heard me say at previous board meetings and updates, and the leadership team has heard me say this ad nauseum, the aligned goals, aligned behaviors or actions, and aligned processes. When we get this right, student success and operational innovation naturally follows. And I just want to repeat that. When we get this right, the aligned goals, the aligned behaviors and aligned actions, aligned processes, our outcomes follow, right? Student success and operational innovation naturally follows. And we're seeing tangible evidence of this in our scorecard, that this focus is working. And so I'm going to skip the first couple scorecard pieces, and I want to go to the community target, the scorecard category community, to highlight the movement in business enterprise partners. This is RVC board policy 510.140, diverse vendor enterprise use. This was adopted in 2021 by the board, and some of you, as Mr. Gorski mentioned, were members of the board at this time. You recognize the importance of aspiring to award at least 20% of the contracts to minority, female, and disabled-owned business enterprises. This result that you see on the scorecard is not accidental. It's the result of deliberate leadership, which began with the foresight of the 2021 board, recognizing the need to create the board policy, and then for these folks to work with their teams to really execute it. And I think very telling to see that reaching that super stretch goal, so congratulations. I've had the pleasure of engaging with Dr. Tobin in multiple and various meetings over the course of our work together for the last few years. When I saw her earlier this quarter at the Leader Development Institute, I shared this quote with the entire cabinet leadership team, and you're probably going to see it again. So I imagine she's engaged with the meeting tonight online, and she's seeing it again. Y'all, this is why we do this work. It's helping every employee see how what they do every day matters, and it's helping employees to see that they matter. There's a new book called Mattering. This is it, right? It's helping employees see not only how their work connects to the big picture, but it's seeing that they matter in the work that they do. So Dr. Tobin, thank you for hitting this home after the last professional development day. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I believe, did we have a question, Bob?
Yes, I noticed you skipped over the leadership trust. That metric went down previous period. Explain what's going on with that?
Yeah, actually, the measure went up. It went from a 3.00 to a 3.2. We have it still marked as a measure of concern, essentially, because we got some distance to go still, right? Because our goal for that is to get it to a 4.0. So we've had great movement. When we look.
Why is it yellow? Why is it yellow then?
Well, it's yellow because we want to continue to pay attention to it. That's it. We want to continue to pay attention to it. And I mentioned thank you for calling that out, because this is really the integration of all of the work, Mr. Trojan. It's we're integrating into professional development and leadership development to really build that trust, right? And when we look at consistency of leadership practices, it's to build the trust. And when we look at the having conversations about the culture survey results, it's about, with our teams, it's about building trust.
Thank you.
Yeah. So still some work to do, for sure.
And this is just, it's more of a comment. I believe back in 2021, or maybe even before then, Gloria kind of led kind of the charge or the discussion on trying to improve the diversity of our business partners and vendors in the community. So I just want to acknowledge that.
Oh, that's great. Trustee, thank you for acknowledging that. I didn't know. Thank you.
Well, Gloria was saying, don't we have lists of these people that we can just go after them? and I think we found some. So thank you very much.
That's great. There was another question.
Was there? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I reviewed getting started, inviting feedback, core values, and I noticed that public trust was 62%, mutual respect was 79%, and a learner-centered community was 69%. However, innovation was 24%, which was, I thought, abysmal. Collaboration and diversity were 38%, which was, I thought, bad. Excellence was 45%, which I would say would be mediocre, not quite 50%. Can you explain, I mean, you know, I thank you for putting that into the presentation, but can you explain the detail of that, of those, of whatever you did and how we got those results and what they mean?
Yeah, Trustee, I'm going to invite Vice President Snyder to engage in this because she's the one that really did this work on the ground.
So the question that was asked was, of these core values, which, and they could choose up to 4, resonated with you the most. So it's not like they were rating each individual item, but those with the highest scores were the ones that resonated the most with the most people.
And that's it?
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, it doesn't mean that those aren't important. They were just saying the others were more important to them. So it's almost like ranking them rather than rating the importance of each of them individually.
What was the purpose of the exercise?
The purpose of the exercise was to determine whether our core values still resonate with people as we review our mission, vision, and core values, which we do want to do on a regular cycle before we embark on the strategic plan refresh.
And for me, just piggyback on that, for me, the important part of this are the pieces that you pulled out, Trustee Nelson, is when we see some values that may not resonate with our employees, that we think, wow, innovation is only resonating with a quarter, you know, of the employees who responded. That's something that we've really got to help them, one, define, right? But how do we as leaders create an environment that gives them the freedom and the fences to trust and be creative and innovative because they know what that goal or the expectation is, right? And so we still, and I think that goes to the building trust piece, Trustee Trojan, that you asked about. We've got to be able to continue to do that well. We're making progress, right? We've improved almost a half a point since we started the survey, which is fantastic. But we still have work to do in that area, right? Because we've got to be able to set those expectations that folks feel comfortable to really innovate, right? And what that means to them in their roles.
And I just like to speak to the innovation part. I think you might want to define what you mean or break out the types of innovation. Innovation in interacting with the students, innovation in communication. Some people, innovation means job reduction or eliminating people. And some people aren't really excited about that, you know, especially people who are members of bargaining units, right? But if you mean innovation in terms of letting you keep your job, make you more productive, with less headaches or less paperwork or something, I think people, yeah, that's innovation that I would like, you know, but, you know, you can't get down too much into the weeds, but innovation is an overall term, you know, it's, you know, there's process improvement, there's innovation, there's different ways you can take a look at it, and I'll just leave it at that, and I'll start with Kristen. And
the survey in the fall, how was that? What was the percentage of participated? Was it improved? Because I remember the last time it was down a little bit, so was it?
In the culture survey itself, in the culture survey?
Yeah, sorry, I was going
Yeah,
back
no,
to-
no, that's okay. No, thank you. I think it was a little bit of a decrease this participation round, but not significant. We were still well above what would be a regular, you know, response rate.
Any other questions, Kristen? Okay, John?
The other question I had was, somewhere I saw that there was I believe a survey of the perception of leadership versus I assume the administration, their perception of how a ranking was, but the survey results were like a 1 point, past 1 point lower, which was in the worst possible category. If I read if I read that page correctly, can you explain the purpose of that and the and I guess the results?
I apologize, Trustee Nelson. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Do you, can you help me with that?
Well, I took notes, so
Is it in the part of the presentation she's already given?
I'm not sure.
Okay, if it's future, we'll just wait till it come back to it.
All right.
Okay, all right. It doesn't sound like it's something she already either glossed over or covered. Why don't you continue with the strategic plan refresh discussion? Thank you.
Well, as you all know, the current strategic plan is reaching our natural conclusion. Additionally, from Vice President Snyder, we've had recommendations from the HLC to emphasize the need for updated measurable institutional targets. We're not throwing everything out, right? Our pillars are going to remain sustained, but we're refreshing some of the other pieces. And the number one goal for us to date this spring has been getting that feedback from employees and from other groups. And so, Vice President, you asked earlier about some of the feedback that we've done with the review of the mission, vision, and core values. We also had an opportunity to engage a broad group in Professional Development Day, and then Vice President Snyder and I engaged the extended leadership team and the Leadership Development Institute last month. And so we've had a great opportunity to get multiple opportunities for improvement, or for input. So what we'll work on this summer, and we just were able to schedule our executive leader retreat, cabinet retreat for the summer. We'll finish working on and updating the goals and targets in the scorecard and provide that opportunity to get that first draft of those so that we can then begin to discussing it more fully with the goal of having that to you all by the end of the calendar year. And then we'll begin to roll out that refreshed strategic plan beginning in the spring. So there's our timeline I know that you all are familiar with. So inviting feedback, we've had the Again, Vice President Snyder's done a great job of enlisting, and team, sorry, enlisting feedback from employees. I pulled out these two pieces, the being a college students are proud to choose, and a dependable resource that ties community together through lifetimes, empowering or giving our community the opportunity for a better life. Y'all, when we see employees respond in this way, it's just really exciting, right? Because what we're seeing when we do this work on building culture and really hiring folks that are engaged from a community college perspective, for them to say to us, man, we just want to be a college that our community's proud of, right? And we want to create life opportunities for families that we serve. That's really exciting, right? It's really exciting. So kudos to you all in that work. The other part that we've started is really cascading and developing leaders in the process. So when I work with the executive cabinet, we're often building our 90-day goals, and then we want to have them with their leadership teams. The cabinet leaders will then begin to cascade their goals and what that looks like for their leadership teams to execute. Not only that, but in our development series, we've had an opportunity then to say, this is what it looks like more granularly. And this is, again, Vice President Snyder walking that team in the Golden Eagles Academy through what it looks like to build a strategic goal, what it looks like to create a scorecard around that, right? And then what it looks like to execute with the 90-day goal. So it's pretty exciting to see how the process is moving from execution at the cabinet level to developing that next level of leaders to then really more fully teaching them how to really do that work. So the importance of this on a high level is really moving RVC from not only a regional leader, right, but into a leader across the nation. We've seen this, the successes of the scorecard, again, not by accident. RVC is becoming a national benchmark. They've won a few of the 2025 AACC awards. We were finalists with the CEO of the Year and Rising Star Leader of the Year this year. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, not on this slide, but the Aspen 200 is really 20% of all community colleges reach that level in the nation. So to be part of the Aspen 200 is a big deal. Not only that, and I know Dr. Smith's not here, her selection for the Aspen Future Presidency cohort this year, she just finished up. Exciting. Only 1 out of 3 leaders are selected to do that. So when we think about the prestige of RVC being recognized outside of ourselves, it's really fun to see. So congratulations with that work.
Thank you.
And finally, we're going to take an opportunity to really build in a little bit more structure, if you will, to advance professional growth and development. This is one of the consistently low-scored items when we look at the culture survey results. It's not super low, and it's improving, but it's been there and consistently not as high as we would like it to be. I'll put it that way. And so what I've talked to Dr. Spearman about is using a Leader 360 assessment with the Golden Eagles Academy group this year. And we're going to pilot it this year. It's just, we're going to do it as part of the work that we're doing, nothing additional in terms of cost or anything. But we think it's going to be really helpful to those leaders. One, for them to self-assess, but also in the 360 light to get their leaders to assess. And then they get to choose folks not only in their unit, but also external to their unit, right? To get that feedback on these leader categories that you see here on the slide. So we'll do that. We'll start that work this month with them when they meet. I think it's this month when they meet. But working with them to build that. I also mentioned it to Dr. Spearman. I thought, well, you know, this will be a great opportunity for you as a CEO to really get some feedback from the board and also from your colleagues on the cabinet. And so he's game to do that. So we're going to also do it with Dr. Spearman. We'll start this summer.
Something relevant?
Well, I think so. The Leader 360 assessment is what I had been talking about.
Okay.
And I have to apologize because there's all of the scores between the self-report and feedback are in the red, which means a greater than 0.75 difference. There is one in the yellow, which is the next category up. And I apologize for saying that they were all over 1. But I mean, I heard you say that you wanted to concentrate on essentially, I think, getting those self-evaluation and feedback scores a little closer. The self-report and feedback, was that on several individuals, just one, the cabinet, or just in general?
Trustee Nelson, it's my apology that I need to make. This is an example of what it looks like. This is going to be this is an example of what the final report would look like. So these are made up data. They don't exist for RVC yet. We're just now getting ready to implement it. So I wanted to give you an example of what it would look like. But I think your question is the importance of doing this, right? Because when we get the feedback and it looks like this, then we get to have a conversation that's more meaningful, because we know that there's a difference of over a point, right? Which is really, really difficult for some of those leaders who are self-reporting higher than what their either their leader or their colleagues think, right? And so that disconnect is really what the 360 helps us uncover. So I should have had an example mark over top of this,
Draft.
and my apologies for that. But Thank you for asking it, because I think that's the importance of doing this work.
And I'd like to bring this up, John. I didn't mean to be dismissive. This is, yeah, like she said, they're just giving us the idea that this is where they're moving forward, and not to be talking about private discussions in open, but I kind of will. So discussing this with President Spearman, he said it was brought for him from Studer, so thank you very much for bringing it up. And that he was willing to participate is the kind of the, and I suggested this, the starting point. Okay, you know, lead by example, and let's do the review of it. And speaking, John, this is kind of the idea that you and I and trustees who are no longer on the board kind of had when we wanted to bring in Studer, this type of evaluation.
I would agree with that.
And the like. Not only evaluation, but maybe a little self-reflection and stuff like that after you get the feedback. So thank you very much for bringing it up. It kind of addresses something that we've wanted to address for, what is it, 5, 6 years now, so, or more. So thank you very much. So better late than never. So thank you.
Thank you all.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Bob's got a question.
Sorry.
In the business world, they have, and I don't know who does the survey, but they have a ranking once a year of the best places to work. Is there anything like that in the community college world or the academic world? And is it something that we could participate in?
There is. Do we participate in the great colleges? Okay, there is. There absolutely is. There's a best places to work that some of our colleges that we partner with also participate in that. So it's an opportunity, and I can definitely talk to Vice President Snyder about it. What we do with those partners that we're engaged with, we oftentimes try to do it on the off year, right? So if we're doing the culture survey every other year, then we'll do the great college or the great places to work survey on that off year. So a great opportunity for you all to see how you benchmark to.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great opportunity because it'd be somebody else evaluating the college, evaluating us, comparing us against numerous other colleges, let's say. And if we pop up on the top, to me, that's good news.
And I'll share again, speaking to discussions, not to talk about it in the open, but there's nothing really private about this. I'm not a big fan of prizes, awards, accolades and stuff. I'm a just the facts, ma'am, get the work done type of guy. I've worked for 2 companies that arranged to get that Best Employer of the Thing award, and 3 weeks later had laid off 10 to 15% of their employees. 2 of the employees, and one of them were the ones who arranged for us to win that stinking award. And what good did they get? They got laid off and they got shortchanged on their retirement. So I'm a little bitter about stuff. And not that this isn't necessarily, important. And I also shared with Dr. Spearman, I realize other people value this, so I'm not going to shut it down or anything. I'm just sharing my opinion of it, and I usually poo-poo those things personally.
In my longer years of experience in different environments, I have seen this work and have never seen any company rig it, like you say, to make it look good.
Oh, two ones. National organizations. I won't mention them here.
I'm just saying.
Somebody go into my resume, though, okay?
I've not seen it.
But I will, so we did the Great Place to Work maybe in 22. Okay, so we did do that once, and then we started focusing on our employee culture survey, and then we didn't go back to that one. But the second point, when Dr. Conselman was mentioning the 20% of all community colleges, and we were in the top 200, that's about the purest ranking that you're going to get, because you don't submit anything, you don't apply for it. They just go and look at your data through a national clearinghouse or iPads or however they're going to do it, but they're going to do it across the entire nation. Right, and then you're then selected. So you don't even know if they're going to call your name or not. And so that is the best one. There are some questionable, regarding the Great Place to Work, I think there's some arguments for why it's a good one to do and why it's not. So, but we can bring that up and we can share it, and then we can decide if we still want to do that.
Yeah, and they're really 2 different measures, right? The Great Places to Work is more employee perception and student perception that feed into that, whereas the Aspen 200 is really based on your outcomes and those metrics. So they have excellence measures in the Aspen Institute, and they use those to then benchmark to get to the 200.
I mean, it's just like the HLC. Yeah. We have a 10-year no follow-up. I mean, to me, that's a big gold star for us.
That's it.
We shouldn't forget about these things.
Gloria.
I guess it's kind of like a side question here. Is there anything in place, whether it's here or anywhere else, that would indicate or give us an idea as to why people do and do not participate in surveys? Is there some kind of a psychological factor, or can you enlighten us on it? Because you said we have like a normal or regular participation, and I don't know what that means.
Sure. Usually for participation, if we look at the research, it's really about 30% is a good is a good participation rate. You all are more than double that when you look at that. And I think there's some reasons why we have better participation here at Rock Valley. I think the process that these leaders have used to not only roll out the institutional level results, but then, Vice President Olson will take her results in her division and she'll roll it out with her team, right? And they'll have conversations about it. When employees know that their feedback matters through those conversations and through the action plans that are built from those, it makes them want to continue to participate, right? Because they see their voice being heard. Sure. Now, our participation rate was, I think it was either 5% or maybe 10% difference. It wasn't a whole lot. So we might say, well, Julie, then we would have seen the same or better participation. I think that's where we get into our focus on consistency of practice, right? So we've got to be able to, across all teams, we can't do pockets of action. We've got to all be consistent in the actions we'll take. Sure. And as we do that, we'll continue to see that participation increase or at least remain where we are.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Well, thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
And speaking to that, the 30% seems kind of low in my experience in doing surveys for those two companies plus two other ones. We thought it would be targeted to 50 to 60. So to get it up, at one location, they had tiers. He said, if corporate-wise, if we reached 80%, we would have a party for each department. If we got to 90% participation, which we didn't really think that we would get, everybody would have an opportunity for a half day off in the summer. And we got to 93% participation.
Wow.
In one survey. And they learned stuff that they probably didn't want to learn, but it worked. I mean, they were honest about it. So they said, don't bribe us next time. Give us a real reason. Well, people were saying that. So, but I don't know if that's something, you can't really do that here because a lot of people already have the summer off. So, but figure out some type of other incentive to drive it up. So thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Thanks.
Good evening, trustees. Tonight I'm going to spend a few minutes sharing some updates on our communication to the campus regarding an Aleutian. Yes, sir.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I am, and I forgot to bring this under communications. We have a letter from a Handland Holdings LLC interested in buying a piece of property, I don't know which one, and they misspelled the college's name, but I want to hand this over to Ellen. You can go on.
Oh, you're fine.
You misspelled it?
Go ahead.
Okay, so in May of 2024, Vice President Jenks brought this process to the board's attention. The board approved this in Board Report 8152C, that Rock Valley College would move to a SaaS environment. SaaS stands for Software as a Service. I'm glad it's on the screen because I can never remember that. What has been happening since May of 2024 is our IT team and others around the campus have been preparing for this migration from one environment, cloud environment, to a new environment called the SaaS environment. That transition is happening now here at the end of the month of May. So it's been a good 18 to 24 months of work behind the scenes with Aleutian, with a consultant, and with our IT team at Rock Valley College to get everything lined up for this mass migration of our entire ERP system. And don't ask me what ERP stands for. It's on the next slide. Hang on a second.
Enterprise Resource Planning.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I don't feel so bad.
Enterprise Resource Planning. I'm going to go back. So anyhow, so we are moving that entire system, which houses all of our student data, financial records, and employee data. It's all housed in this one system, Aleutian Colleague. Okay? Good so far? That system is migrating from its current environment to its new environment starting May 22nd at 5 o'clock p.m. And it will be offline for about 5 days On June 27th, for staff only, IT and a few very select individuals, if everything goes well, that whole system will be tested internally to make sure that it's working correctly. They will need a couple of days for that testing. We plan to return to live new environment on June 1st, 2026 at 5 o'clock a.m. for employees and our staff to get back into that system and begin using that system post-migration. Okay? What systems will be impacted? So I think many of you have probably heard the word Elution many times because every month you have things that are part of the billing cycle and the renewal cycle for software. But the Elution Colleague Service is that enterprise, I've referred to as a student information system, but it's more than that. What most students and employees use on a daily basis is a tool called self-service. That's where students would go in and see their grades, where students would go in and register for classes, where students would go in and see their financial aid information. Employees would go in and there see their financial statements for their departments and their budgets and their own time off slips and all kinds of different systems. And our financial planning team would see all their receipts and invoices and things that are working toward rectifying and making sure all that works. No one at the college will have access to those systems for that period of time, May 22nd, 5 p.m. till June 1st, roughly 5 a.m. That migration is ready to go. We've spent considerable amount of time in the last several weeks developing a communication plan with the great help of Executive Director of Marketing and Communication, Ms. Jennifer Thompson, with the team assembled by Mr. John Wicker, our Executive Director of IT, Rick Jenks, on his team, many of our teams assembled here with the Vice Presidents. We've all been working on this for a long time, but really pushing forward in the last month on the communication. We have in front of our students, in front of our employees, faculty, and staff, web banner announcements, internal and external calendar announcements. It's been in our weekly and daily news for our students and for our employees. It's been on our Canvas system, which will be operational during this period of time because even though they are connected systems, the Canvas Eagle system for our learning management will run, and our students that are enrolled in Summer 1 classes will still be able to do all the work they need to do for their coursework during that period of time. We've done alert messages to our employees and our students. We've created a landing page of FAQs for each of the areas, for students, for employees, for faculty, to make sure that they know what this means. At the end of the day, this is going to go really, really well, and everybody's going to be very, very happy. That's what I've been told from Rick Jenks. Questions? Yes, sir.
Bob.
What is the one thing that you're most concerned about going wrong?
I would yield probably to John Wicker if he doesn't mind jumping up and coming down here. My concern would just be that maybe a particular report doesn't run as smoothly as we would like. Elution has done this multiple times. Rock Valley College is nowhere near the first. In fact, we're probably near the end of the colleges that they partner with to migrate to this process. So they've done this now multiple times at multiple campuses across the country. They've tested our environment. We've tested our environment very well. We're fairly confident or very confident that things will go very, very well. But there will be likely a report that doesn't run quite the way we thought it would, or maybe an environment that doesn't receive the information or update it as quickly as we would like. But that's why we're going to see it for a few days prior to anybody else internally with an IT, with certain testers that have been assigned to do the testing of this environment to make sure that everything works as it should before we actually bring it back live for the rest of the campus.
Isaiah?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Starting with this one, do you think that there's going to be any negative effects for upcoming graduates who are going to need their final transcripts?
No, we have actually adjusted a few deadlines. So normally we would take 2 to 4 weeks to process final grades and transcripts and then diplomas. We are dedicated to getting that done before May 22nd at 5 p.m. So students, in fact, will see them sooner, not later.
So the professors won't have a change deadline in terms of it'll just stick to the regular?
We are just going to be really, really, really stringent upon the deadline that currently exists, which is May 18th at midnight.
Yeah.
Usually on Monday, we've got a handful or a couple of dozen faculty who have yet to submit their grades. We are very much on top of those individuals with the support of their vice presidents and their deans to make sure that all grades are posted by midnight on May 18th.
Okay.
And anybody who's late on Monday morning, they're going to get a phone call and probably a visit to their office to get them turned in because this is critical timing.
Okay.
Very good question.
Well, I just want to say, in terms of incentives, you can't give them a half day off in the summer, but tell them they have to come in a day in the summer where they wouldn't normally come in if they don't get the grades done on time. There you
I
go.
like that.
My second question is this going to affect student workers at all? I noticed that for, in terms of like payroll and stuff, that they have to process.
There will be some slight changes to time card submissions.
Okay.
But they will not be negatively impacted. Just the timing of when those submissions will be adjusted slightly.
How would that be adjusted slightly?
Ellen, can I phone a friend? Vice President Olson knows that detail more than I do.
The only impact to student workers is not going to impact the timing of their pay or anything like that because they're already paid in arrears.
Okay.
So that particular week, instead of clocking in and clocking out through self-service like they do now,
Yeah.
those hours will have to be entered after June 1st when we come back up.
Okay.
So they'll need to work with their supervisors and make sure that they put those hours in for those days during those 4 days Aleutian is down.
So are you saying technically they're just going to have to keep track of their time of when
Yeah.
they're working?
They'll work with their
Old school?
supervisor. Old school.
Old school,
pen and
piece of paper,
probably.
pen and paper,
Yep.
yes.
Okay.
And then their supervisors will input those, will help them get those hours in correctly on June 1st.
Okay. And then my last question is for any of the clubs that are traveling during this time for May 22nd through June 1st, if, say, they're having to use their funds out of pocket or they need some type of reimbursement, are they still going to be able to get that reimbursement around this time frame?
I'm not
No.
aware of many organizations traveling during that period of time. There may
Yeah.
be one. Their advisors should have the funds they need and everything should be arranged ahead of time. There should be a purchase card available to that individual if needed, but they won't be able to call the college and get new money created for them in the moment. But
Yeah.
using the advisor that's traveling with them with that P card or with the appropriate person's P card that has authority for that group, that we will take care of all necessary needs.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Any other questions? Just to speak to Bob's concern, one of the things that makes this nice is that you're moving from the vendor's one system to another system. It isn't like you're changing vendors and there's
Correct.
a lot of data conversion. I'm going through that at work now, and it's a 1.5-year project. July, yeah, the weekend that we're not having our retreat in January is when we're going live, so towards the end of the month. So thank you. Any other update on that?
No, good job.
No?
If all goes well, I'll be back. If it doesn't go well, Rick Jenks will see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Anything else under general presentations that I missed? So if not,
We're
move
good
on
to
to
go.
teaching and learning. I'll step in for Trustee Goldsmith and hand this over to Dr. Hanson Stewart.
Thank you so much. I promise to be quick this afternoon. I know you had a long evening already with the presentations that came before me. So good evening, trustees, and belated Mother's Day greetings to the two mothers on the Board of Trustees. Tonight I bring before the board 3 familiar matters for your review and approval. The 8th CCTP agreement, which comes before the board every year for the past decade, the agreements between Rock Valley College and the high school districts, and looking at ways to improve the tech bus to better serve the community and industry partners. These are not new stars appearing on the horizon, but steady lights we have passed before, returning now for renewal and continued trust. Fortunately, all gathered here, noting on this evening's agenda, ventures into nothing lofty. Fortunately, for all gathered here, nothing on this evening's agenda ventures into lofty realms of aeronautical engineering or space science. Those celestial calculations and gravity-defying complexities are best entrusted to my learned and well-experienced and accomplished colleague, Mr. Rick Jenks, whose wisdom comfortably navigates the skies and beyond, as we have seen with the ATC project and we have seen with the downtown project. So I leave all groundbreaking stuff for him. So what I have to offer tonight is just 3 modest items, brief in presentation, clear in purpose, and I hope gentle upon the evening's remaining hours. So The first one is the Highway Construction Careers Training Program, IGA, for renewal. This is my 5th time bringing this agreement before the board. This agreement predates me. This new agreement has been reviewed by our attorneys. The only change this afternoon is that the agreement will move from an annual renewal to a renewal agreement for every 3 years. So the next time you see this agreement will be in 2029. But that's the only change presented here tonight. And as I mentioned before, it was reviewed by the attorneys. So the ask is for the trustees to approve this new 3-year agreement that starts in 2026 and expires in 2029.
I can see that the accolades for people who aren't here or punting to people who aren't here, you're already starting on your 360 performance evaluation. So.
All right, so now shifting to the other one, which is something familiar to the board again, which is the agreements between the high schools and Rock Valley College. You would recall that last month you approved 6 agreements that were all renewals from Boylan Catholic School, Byron, and Winnebago. This evening we have 17 agreements, of which 16 are renewals, with only 1 new agreement coming from Christian Life, which is a dual and articulated agreement. And these 17 agreements come from 11 school districts and schools. I have 1 more agreement to bring to you before the board, and that is for RPS 205. I will not bring that next month. I'll bring that in July. And then, as is customary, around October to November, I'll bring you an enrollment report and an overview of early college for the past 3 years. My ask, of course, is for the board to review and to approve these 17 agreements that are presented to you this afternoon.
And just so Christian Life's new.
Yes, that's the only new one.
Okay, yeah. And RPS 205 is this delayed because they have to discuss it and vote on it before we get it?
Yeah, they have to go to their board, and then it comes to us in July. Yeah. So I wouldn't bring any agreements to you next month.
Okay.
All right. And then last one would be about the tech bus. So, trustees, I would like to begin by contextualizing this evening's presentation on the tech bus. You would recall that during my presentation to the board in December 2025, I indicated that we were at an inflection point with the tech bus, thereby being the catalyst for today's presentation. What is the problem? Just to recap briefly from the December presentation, our tech bus has reached an end of life with a pending $34,000 transmission replacement on top of $27,000 already being spent on repairs. As of May 1st, 2026, the tech bus developed a leak in the fuel line that connects the generator and gas tank of the bus. We were told that the repair would involve removing the generator and a number of components underneath in order to fix it. The rough range to get it done, we were told, were between $4,000 to $6,000. We got a quote on May the 4th, 2026, and it estimates that the repair could cost in the vicinity of $6,000. I want to remind the board that we also asked the shop what is the market value of the bus. They gave us an estimate or a guesstimate of $10,000. They said provided, the caveat is that the bus wouldn't need much repairs or have any repairs done to it, forget to that market value of $10,000. So why are we here? We are here because we have 2 options tonight. Either we invest more money into repairing the existing tech bus, knowing we are unsure if the problem identified by the shop is the real problem. Because in my December presentation, I told you that the shop was 80% sure that it was the transmission. So we could fix it, and they're still not sure if that will rectify the problem. To compound it, we have a $6,000 now estimate of what it will cost to fix the leak below the generator of the bus. So either we go down that route, it's up to the board to decide. So I'm just presenting to you that first option. We can do those things, or we are confronted with a good problem, option 2, with our regional manufacturers facing a severe skills gap and a growing need to upskill their incumbent workforce without pulling people off the production line. We may opt to transform the tech bus into a dual function bus, one for workforce needs and one to help us meet community needs too as well, to continue serving the community as we have been doing. Now, we did some research to be able to present to the board by going to at least 4 community colleges that have mobile units, and that was presented to you in your packet, so I'm not going to do a detailed recap of that or presentation of that. I'm going to do some highlights just for you to just get a picture of where we are at. So, as I said, there's a 20,000 manufacturing jobs currently vacant in the state, and this is accelerated by retiring baby boomers. So we did some research by sending a survey out to 19 industry partners in the region. 13 of them filled it out. And the feedback that we got, if we had to get a mobile unit and they would want to utilize it, the 13 of the 19 persons who took the survey said they would want to see, firstly, CNC machining and blueprint reading. They would want to see welding, robotics, mechatronics. Thirdly, they would like to see OSHA and metrology, and fourthly, leadership and supervisor training. Some of the companies you all know is our common partners: General Mills, Fastenal, Rockford Achromatic, Modern Advanced Manufacturing, Bourne & Co., Gleason Cutting Tools, Ingersoll Cutting Tools, Hennig, and so forth. In addition to doing that survey, we also decided to touch with 3 different entities in our community. So we went out and we had a conversation with our industry partner, Hennig, and they said if we were to get a mobile unit, they would like to use it to conduct specialized welding trainings for their incumbent workforce if they could, noting that they do not currently have an adequate on-site space for running training for themselves. We went to our K-12 partners, and in particular, we went to North Boone. And North Boone, a local school district, we all know, said if we were to get it, it will help them with their career technical education programming. Because right now, they express an interest in utilizing an RVC mobile to support their planned offerings that they have in CTE. Right? And then the mobile units that we took a look at from the 4 different colleges. Here are the 4 colleges we went to. Again, I'm just going to give you highlights. So Mott Hall Community College in Michigan, they use it for a dual function. They do it for workforce training and community engagement. So just to give you some statistics, they have done 24 high school visits and 11 major community events so far for the year. If you go to Prairie State College in Chicago Heights, Illinois, they use their own primarily for CNC machining and welding. They got it from a Department of Labor grant that they use to fund it. And the way how they make money on it is that they use 65% margin a profit margin that they add up when they are charging how much they're going to, charge companies and stuff for their trainings. They go by a 50 to 65% profit margin that they do. The other one, Caskia College in Clinton County, they use their own more for enrollment purposes. It's more of a community bus. So just to give you some stats, they use their own for the Illinois State Fair. They use their own for 8th grade recruiting, high school football games, and they also use it for high school recruitment. And they reported to us as an anecdotal account that they actually have 300 students or 300 community members they touch per day with their mobile unit. And the last one is Cuyahoga Community College. They use their own for workforce training for students who live in remote parts of their state. So they park it in a particular part of their state for 3 or 6 months a semester, and they offer manufacturing and workforce training programs to students who can't come to the main campus. So that's how they use it, all right? So just to conclude, what we are looking at is if we were to go this route and the board was to decide that, the funding strategy would be to mirror what these colleges have done. These colleges have gone and they sought out federal and state grants to do it. And what the board knows that we have an impressive record of getting grants. We right now currently have a $5 million grant for advanced manufacturing. I have written a couple of grants, well, at least $4 million worth in workforce grants that we could use to fund this if need be. We have the Perkins grant too that we have to, that we could also look at as another mechanism to, if we go down this model. And if you think about revenue model, last thing I would say, the revenue model, we can go like Prairie State with the 50 to 65% profit margin. I also like Mott Hall's their profit model or revenue model. They charge a $1,000 to $1,500 deployment fee. So every time they go out with a company or industry partner to provide training, they charge them that standard $1,500 fee. And then they charge them a daily operations fee too as well. So that's how they make their money, apart from also getting revenue from the actual trainings themselves. So just to conclude, all I'd say is that my ask is for the board to consider which of those two options you would like to go. Option one, which is to stay and maintain and repair the bus we currently have, or go the route of option two, and making the tech bus have a dual function, which is for workforce and for community engagement too.
I'll start with Isaiah, outgoing student. Have an opinion on it?
Yeah. My comment to that is I think the second choice would be very good to go.
I can't hear you.
I think the second choice that he suggested, I would recommend the board consider. I think having community engagement, especially with when I'm looking at Caskia
Yes.
College, where they really target a lot of rural schools that don't have the manufacturing programs and a lot of these other workforce programs. I think that that's a great thing to have, including especially young adults, non-traditional people, or people who are just wanting to go into the workforce, to really bring them in from the community as well. So I think having that dual purpose for something like that would be a great advantage for RVC. So that's just my comment.
Gloria?
I think the only thing, not the only, but the main thing for me, because we've discussed this over, I don't know how many times, it has always been the safety factor with the tech bus. I mean, no matter how many spark plugs or whatever we change or fix or, whatever, it's a risk for me. I mean, that's always been the scary part, that something would happen while we were working or had students in it or something. So, yeah, I would say it's time to send it to bus heaven.
Bob, questions?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. Number one is, I haven't seen any, we should look at the performance of the old bus in terms of how many students, how much money do we make, if any, those kind of metrics. To me,
Well, we don't.
important to evaluate whether we should go out and spend $750,000 on a new mobile thing. Number two, these 4 colleges you cited, do they have an advanced technology center like we do? Or is this it for them, their mobile unit? Because if it's it for them, we're not comparing apples to apples. We have an ATC there in Belvedere, and we're now going to open up a downtown campus. Really need a mobile unit going around? And if so, what kind of money are we going to make from it? It should be a money maker, right?
But I explained the revenue models.
I'd like to see some financial projections of not only the old bus, but your new mobile unit. And again, answering the other questions that I raised.
So then first, I explained the revenue model to you. We spoke to these colleges at length, just like when we started the non-credit tracking. Some of the institutions don't have a systemized way or a standardized way of how they are tracking their metrics for enrollment. We ask them for enrollment. We ask them for completions. We ask them for things of this nature. They didn't have that. So most of what we gathered from them are conversations that are anecdotal. So in terms of the revenue model, which was very important to me, as I explained to you, I liked Mott Hall's model of having a deployment fee for every training that you charge of $1,500 or $1,000, and then you have a daily operationals fee that you charge in addition to that as a way of bringing in not only revenue, but bringing in profit too as well.
Dr. Stewart, can you speak to the revenue model of the tech bus?
There was no revenue model for it. It was a community engagement. When I was hired for this job, and this was under my purview. That's the first question I asked. I was told it was a community engagement bus. So all it was supposed to do, and I provided those statistics in December of the YMCA, how many people we touched, because even that, we wasn't having a systemized way of how we track and record or document how many interfaces we have with the community. So I gave you estimates in December when I did my presentation. But the bus was just meant to go and meet Center for Learning and Retirement people, go to the YMCA, go to here, go to this institution, do the... It was no revenue generation, none, zero. So all I'm trying to do is present a model that sounds logical for the board to think about.
Right. Well, I'm glad you did, but at the same time, I would like to see some data.
Well, as I told you, we spoke to them. They don't have that data. What I presented...
We don't have any data. We don't have any data from them, the 4 schools. I mean, so we're kind of...
Data from the four, you're saying you want to see data from, more specific data from the 4 schools, not from our tech bus, correct?
Well, yeah, both.
Or both, yeah.
But
As well as new projections. And so, you know, touchy-feely kind of decision-making to me is kind of irrational.
Kristen,
Are you pretty confident with the 80% grants for, so technically it would be 1,000? I mean, it would be, but you know, how confident are you with acquiring grants and things like that?
Confident?
Yeah. I mean, 80% putting it in there, that's a pretty high, like it was, I was like, ooh, 80%, it's no brainer, but like, is
Let me
that
just
realistic?
say, I mean, Heather has helped with grants. I'm just, from my record, I have brought in nearly $5 million in grant writing to the college, from just me writing grants alone. And Heather has done quite a number on her end too as well. So bringing in money, that is not even a consideration. I know I will. All I would need to do is, if you agree, is that the grants that are coming up from ICCB, to talk to the president once he approves, is route that money for the grant writing to this project. That's all I will do, yeah.
And is it, I mean, are we able to just drive it around to advertise? I mean, maybe not at this moment with diesel prices being crazy, but like, maybe they'll be better. I mean, is that something that you did with the bus that we would do?
Yeah, that's why. So I said, what I like with Caskia College's model is they were a little bit different. They weren't doing too much of workforce. They were doing more of marketing and promoting of their school with the bus. So they was drawing people to the institution via this high school games, the Illinois State Fair, going to 8th grade events and things of that nature. So they weren't really doing too much of workforce stuff. It was more for marketing and promoting, I found, you know, with them.
Well, and could we bring some things from the ATC to the downtown campus that way as well?
Yeah.
Maybe like a, I don't know, try to bring them together? Well, I mean, like a certain class that you could also take downtown with the tech bus, that, or the tech.
Well, I was
is that
thinking,
something or no?
Well, no, I was thinking that one of the colleges, the last college I mentioned, they take their tech bus to a certain remote location or rural part of their town for months on end, so that the students who reside in those areas could have access to education instead of coming to the main campus. So I could see our bus doing the same thing too for any places that are designated as rural areas, you know, for people to be able to have access.
And then let me just, so yes to the mobile piece, but there is a compromise, right? If we're writing grants and we are used to our grants being earmarked for certain CTE programs or non-credit programs, and then we use one of them for this purpose, then that could adjust our flow, right? So it's always a check and balance regarding that. It's not like the tech bus. The tech bus was more flexible in where we can take it, because it's not, this is a much larger vehicle, but we would have to, like the tech bus, we would definitely have to have a driver or two available to take it around, which is opposite. This may provide us with some flexibility to change out some of the equipment if we're using desktop equipment and things like that, depending on the request. But we would have to build up to that level. We would not try to purchase all this equipment at one time. So we will still have to develop that process. So
Yeah, and then some of the companies too, Trustee Simpson, what they do, sorry, one of the colleges, what they do is they hire a third-party vendor or contractor to take care of swapping out stuff and doing all that kind of good stuff, you know? If we had come to the maintenance aspect of it, sometimes in some colleges you would say, but one college I know spends $80,000 to $100,000 to do it because they use a third-party vendor. Another college only spends like about $8,000 to $10,000 a year. That's because they use their internal staff to do all their repairs and all their other stuff. So it depends on what avenue or pathway you choose to as well when it comes to the actual maintenance of the mobile unit.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Kristen? I'm going to come back to Bob. He has a follow-up, and then I'll come to you, John.
Okay, thank you.
You have a follow-up, Bob? You were like waving.
I just want to make a comment. You got to remember the bus was put into operation before we had an advanced technology center and before we're building a downtown campus. So, you know, just repeating what we did in the past, all the circumstances have changed. So in addition to my data collection request, I want to make that comment.
Okay. Can we do an employee survey? Are you happy with the way we're going with the tech bus? No. Okay. John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for that offhanded comment. As I understand the report that I read, you know, the highlights to me, you know, that would encourage me to support this are, one, the idea that we can get grants for this, and I am somewhat confident that we might be able to get some money for this. Number one, and number two, that you know, if there is a demand for our business partners, as we call them, that they would want to use the mobile training center for their employees on site. And my understanding is, and I talked to Dr. Stewart about this on breaks we had this afternoon in our labor negotiations, that we would charge a fee and a transporting fee and then other money for the convenience of having us train untrained employees who employers want to plug in immediately into their job availabilities. And as I read the report, there's a 20% lack of qualified employees in the area. I'm not so much, and Bob, make no mistake, I'm not ready to fund this huge thing at $750,000. But it's important to meet and beat the competition. And what's our competition? Well, these community college districts are fairly large, and we're not the only community college that students can go to for some of our services, and we want to make it as best as possible. Having said all that, I understood that what Dr. Hansen is looking for is essentially to do some on-the-boots reconnoitering with certainly the 4 community colleges, 2 of which are in Illinois, and I have been on the ICCTA now so long. I have friends who are trustees at both places, and I would be in favor of that because we would get more intelligence and on this subject. I don't want to be left behind. We have, and we've wanted to establish world-class services in this area. I don't want to get behind on that. And I would say at this point, let's, with what has transpired here so far, let's let Dr. Hansen proceed and report back. And I, Bob, I couldn't agree with you more that, I want to see some services that are delivered for the money that we've invested, and I would not change that for this project. Just a little bit on the tech bus. That started out as a project by one of our now retired professors who pretty much was the driving force behind that, not only in getting the bus, getting it equipped, raising the money for putting the technical equipment in it, but who would drive it to the various schools and engage students in the idea that they would come to Rock Valley College because we have and had technical education here for decades, and I just see this as a project that we should not discourage but encourage, with the idea, Bob, and I agree with you, that we really don't want to have a $750,000 bill pop up because we can't get any grants or anything like that. That's my thought.
Well, I'm confused. One, you laughed at one of my jokes, Dr. Stewart. Bob, who would normally be all for anything tech, just go for it, give us the details later. And then John, he's not asked for any details at all and saying go forward with it. You've got an idea of a plan. You don't have a plan. You admitted to us that the examples you used didn't monitor students, didn't monitor the finances, but you like the idea. Come back to us with a plan for how it will affect enrollment, affect the business partners, revenue stream. It looks like a trailer. You're talking about a semi-trailer truck, right? Okay, retrofitted. Come back with a little bit better of a plan. I think President Spearman was looking for a consensus. The consensus is we're not putting any more money into the tech bus, right?
Yes.
No more money into the tech bus. All right.
Thank you.
So that's find a way of getting rid of it, the Patrick Murphy Tech Bus Memorial Museum or something like
Jensen
that.
was the guy to drive that one.
But
Well, and maybe like how it would affect us negatively by not having it financially. Maybe a part of that. I know that's probably hard to.
What's at
No,
risk?
but I think,
Tech bus?
but I think
You're asking about the
Trustee
tech bus?
No, I mean the trailer. If we didn't get it.
By not having it, it's going to be negative?
No, I'm saying how it would negatively affect us.
In other words, are we going to
Negatively.
suffer
Well, I don't know.
competitively if we don't get one? Or are we going to be ahead of the
and
curve?
that's a fair question, but since,
goodness.
as Bob pointed
there's
out,
no
we have
gap.
an ATC, we're opening
All
up
the
downtown.
things we've invested
Yeah.
in this community, I wouldn't hang my hat one bit. I mean, my goodness.
Well, it's the employers apparently were saying they don't want to, boy, the brick and mortar is so far away, we want the thing right at our doorstep.
But
And I
Bob,
guess,
just,
Oh, go ahead.
So I'm not against it, but it's not going to come to a vote at all without some more, details, all right?
okay, yeah. And then, okay,
me
so
the data.
we'll close, but
A business plan.
no, I understand. We'll try to bring
me the
something
data.
together, a little more projections with it. But Bob, just keep in mind that when it comes to welding, like aviation, we're packed, those classes are full, we have wait lists, and this is a creative way to still add other students or maybe companies who want our services because we can't use it while we're in there using those.
Well, and that speaks to the business model,
Right.
though. I'll get to, I
we'll
see
get
you,
to that
Kristen.
later.
It's just that the business model, though, is it just the welding? I mean, because I mean.
No, it could be for any, so let me just say quickly that, remember, we didn't just do that. We went out and we had a survey here with 19 industry partners. 13 responded and they said their priority training, if we were to get it, they would want it to be welding and CNC machining. That's what I itemized. 4 things I called out for you.
Okay.
And then we went a step further, a deeper dive. We held a conversation with the community. Who constitutes the community? The K-12 partners and industry partners. We had a conversation with Hennig. Hennig said, yes, if you bring it, we'll do welding. We'll take it because we don't have enough training space on our floors to train incumbent workers in welding. So we will use the mobile unit. North Boone said we're expanding our career technical education training, and we would welcome RVC helping us with a training hub like the mobile unit.
But let's come back with, show them how we would swap out equipment and things of that
sure.
and a cost, and then.
Let's do this. In advance of the voting meeting this month, okay, come to us with an estimate of what you would have to spend for architectural or engineering and acquisition costs for building it out, okay? Because you could probably get money to get the trailer, but you're going to need to build it out, not only the equipment, but the ventilation, since it's going to do welding and stuff like that. And come to us with, we need this amount just to even come up to you with a plan, I'm guessing. I think that's fair.
Yeah, 'cause
so
you gotta
come to us and let
purchase,
us know. We'll authorize, at least, we'll have that on the agenda and authorize a dollar amount to go forward so you can spend some more money to invest it to give us the answers that we're asking for. Is that fair?
I believe so, at this point, yes.
Okay. Do you have any idea how much it'll cost to build out the inside of the trailer?
Yes, so Mott Hall, it cost them $500,000 was the initial build-out. The complete outsource, all maintenance, logistics, cab leasing, and driving to a third party for roughly $80,000 to $100,000
But when
annually.
was that?
That's what they, to actually build the.
Yeah, but
what year?
When? What year?
I didn't get all that information.
Yeah, right now, prices are all over the place. Materials are hard to get. So once you get current pricing, and if you need a budget, if you can fit it within something, fine, go ahead, move ahead with it. But if you need a little extra money, let us know what that is, all right?
I had one more quick
Yes,
question. Might not be
Kristen.
quick, I don't know. But so collectively, you guys thought this would be a great idea. And did you think, or did you start investigating it when you realized the bus wasn't an option anymore? Like, but you see as a whole that this would be something good, that is a need that we have?
Yes, because when you're looking at something that doesn't bring in revenue, every time that bus goes down, we have to go to Ellen to get money to fix it, which is the operating dollars. It wasn't bringing any revenue at all. So I had to find, with my team, an innovative way of how do we fix this dump, because it's an old bus.
And that's what I meant by seeing the financials. How would it hurt us by not having it? And that's what I meant by negatively, you know.
Well, we're going to get rid
Part of his financial that he wants to
Analysis,
see, you know, maybe include that as to where it financially would hurt us not having.
And Trustee Simpson, we've depleted all of the donor dollars that were donated for the tech bus. That's because the goal of the tech bus was not a revenue generator. It was community engagement.
Yeah, I understand
And
that.
so now we're trying to say, if we're going to go down this mobile unit, let's consider, you know, a revenue plus, when we're not doing the revenue, we can still do a community engagement event, but we'll have the flexibility to do both if we go down this path.
Yeah, and I
Revenue
guess
neutral.
my point is, you guys really feel we need some sort of mobile unit.
I think it'll expand our footprint beyond. We can go take this to Byron or Ogle if we needed to as well.
And I think the deep dive conversations with the industry partners that we had was even more profound, in addition to the respondents from the survey. That is what was the catalyst for us moving in this direction. It was not a thin air. It was out of people said, this is what we want, you know, so.
Great.
Thank you, Dr.
Well,
Good job,
I'd just like
Good
to
job,
say,
Mason. Sorry.
Dr. Stewart, I'd just like to say, we've heard that before, and then the industry partners kind of step away.
That is true.
My points are
And
trying
I'll
to
start with
help you.
Isaiah, then come to Isaiah.
I just want to say that even though the details aren't really thought out and that there's not necessarily a good plan, so to speak, I think what Dr. Stewart was getting with like the Kaskaskia College mobile unit, I think that is a great starting point for this project. I don't agree with Bob's statement of, well, if we have the ATC, what is the point of having the mobile unit? The whole point of having the mobile unit is to be able to have outreach, to gauge interest, to be able to get, students and future interests in RVC's ATC Center and West Downtown Campus, to create an investment within that for future students that are going to come here, and they see think of it as sort of like the the little shops that they set up at like Kroger or Walmart or something like that, and they give you a little bite of what's to come if you buy this, right? And I think that that's really giving a preview to like a lot of these like rural areas, like Stillman Valley, Byron, Pecatonica, Oregon. I think like these are great places to target. I know for places like Belvedere, Rockford, Cherry Valley, Winnebago, like they already have close access to the ATC and the West Downtown campus. So yes, to your point, it doesn't really, there wouldn't be much benefit to them, but what about the rural areas that we also have coming to our school?
Gloria, do you have anything?
Nope.
Okay. I just want to say, and I love you. I'd say I do. Okay. Okay. You're a great guy. You've been a great student trustee.
Yeah.
But you didn't listen to them.
Yeah.
We're not doing community engagement with this. We've got industry partners that want to do two specific things with it. It's not community outreach. They want in and out and put those people into their businesses. It isn't in getting them to come back to us anymore. And this is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing we got to keep up with the other community colleges, or we already have some of the resources here, or it's community engagement, or we're targeting two specific programs where we can't put any more people into the seats here.
Yeah.
And that's probably your best sell, is that you got programs that you can't put anybody into anymore, but if you put them in here, you can bring them to the companies, or the companies could pay us to put people into them and stuff like that. So that works for me. I don't think necessarily this is going to get out in the middle of a farmland or a school or something. It's going to go in the parking lot of a local business partner. They're going to train somebody and move them inside and see how well they actually learned, which has value to it, and I'm willing to hear that, out. But I'll tell you what, we'll put your picture on it, though, somewhere. We'll find a way. Give us a good headshot. Jennifer will work, she gets into the wrapping.
Blake-mobile.
The next ones will be short.
Okay. Thank you very much for the presentation, though.
Thank you.
Don't put any more money into the tech bus other than hauling it away, all right?
Deflated.
Enrollment update.
You have the enrollment update in your packets, but of course enrollment is a moving target, so I'll provide the new numbers for this week. Summer 1 is 2% ahead of budget and 97% to goal, leaving the entire FY26 to date at 7% to budget and 3%, or 7% ahead of budget and 3% ahead of the stretch goal. For fiscal year 27, we have summer 2 and fall enrollments underway. Summer 2 is 12% ahead of budget at this time and 8% ahead of the stretch goal. And our fall enrollment is about 2% ahead of where we were last year at this time. I'm waiting for the trustee Children's question.
Go ahead, jump
So
in.
the 2026 sheet, that's
Yes.
final.
Well, summer 1 is not entirely final yet. Spring is over. But summer one doesn't begin till Monday, May 18th, so we may get additional enrollments in that term.
And so to me, the really important number is that we are 3.4% higher than the last year.
Correct.
Yes.
How many people is that? No, how many people?
How many? Well, the
5% on
3.26
the
is
people.
like almost 4,000 credits above of last year.
But you asked for people, right?
Yeah.
Head count.
Right, but
5%.
I'm not a big
people
fan of
is-
percentages because when you have small numbers, you could have one person and then, you got 3.4%.
Oh, these are pretty big numbers, Paul, come on.
I'm just looking at it.
But even if you said 4,000 divided by the 9 to 10 credit hours.
Yeah, well,
On
so
average.
people, it's a little tricky. We're about 703 head count ahead, but it's
Good.
unduplicated in each term, but they is duplicated throughout terms. Is that
Thanks.
closer to what you're asking? Okay.
Okay.
Then I also have the lobbying update this evening. Last week, trustees Simpson, Nelson, and Kadia, along with Dr. Spearman and Jen Thompson, attended the ICTA Trustee Advocacy Day in Springfield. The day opened with guest speakers, Minority Leader Representative Tony McCombie, Senator Mike Hastings, and Representative Tracy Katz-Mule. The latter has been the House leader pushing for the Community College Baccalaureate. The team met with Representatives Maurice West and Dave Vella, as well as Senator Dave Severson. The Community College Baccalaureate Advocacy Team is still hoping to get the CCB to the floor for a vote this session that ends later this month. The measure continues to have strong bipartisan support in the House, and we anticipate it will pass when the Speaker calls it for a vote. On May 4th, we received the April update from our lobbyist, Dr. Letisa Wallace. Light Strategies continues to support our advocacy for the CCB degree program proposal. In addition to issue-specific advocacy, Light Strategies continues to monitor legislation related to higher education and community colleges, including proposals that may affect institutional authority and operations, funding and appropriations, student access and affordability, and broader community college policy priorities. And that concludes the update. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna start down here, John.
Sure.
Any questions down here?
No.
No? Gloria?
No, just wanted to kind of echo what Dr. Snyder was saying, is that as far as the bipartisan support was definitely there. We had an interesting meeting with Mr. Vella and Mr. West in that we were in a hallway and there was a man walking around with a bacon suit because it was bacon day or whatever. I mean, there were tons of people lobbying, but I think we got a very good response from the speakers at the reception at the different areas too. So I have a feeling it's going to pass. So
Sometimes we all feel our bacon's in the fryer, right? Okay, there you go. I'm just trying to stall. Okay, John.
Well, and I can honestly report that Gloria did not take a bite out of the bacon man.
great. I don't
We
need
got
pork.
samples of bacon.
But
Thank you for that report. Let's move on.
No. So, and I want to make clear for Bob especially, that I thought we had an excellent conversation with Senator Dave Severson, who expressed his support, solid support for the community college. Of course, he's a graduate from here, and I asked him if he had to be solicitous of the fact that Northern Illinois University is also in his district. And he said he was, certainly aware of that, but that the community college model was something he not only benefited from, but that was a better model for, he thought, the public in general. And he was well aware of the condition of many of the universities in the state. And they're on tough times, except for the University of Illinois itself and Illinois State University. I thought it was And so, Bob, we didn't just meet with Democrats, we met with both sides, and we tried to, I think, meet with all of our representatives. The one person who canceled on us was the Republican leader in the House on the issue of community colleges, and she's the state rep from the DeKalb itself. So, in any event, I thought it was very interesting. And Gloria's right. There were so many people down there with so many issues, and that part of the reason for that is the session. It wasn't as long as it normally is. All those guys, men and women, want to get out and campaign.
And I also believe our local elected officials, leaders at that level, were well represented at the ATC recently. So
Yes, the ones that, yes,
so
no show
And she
at the
was
ATC.
supportive, the one that had to cancel. She was supportive, so we wouldn't have really needed to lobby to her.
yeah.
We already knew she. So we were okay with her canceling.
Right. Any other thing in the lobbying update? No. Okay. Gloria, hand it off to.
Well, I just want to comment and just say thank you to Jennifer Thompson for taking good care of us. I mean, she's a good tourist guide and keeps us on track and keeps us on time, and it's very helpful. Thank you.
And the best driver ever.
We're working on that. We're working on
I had
that
to
one.
take Bonine both times, two in there.
Wow.
I don't know
But I
where to
still
go
was
with
feeling
that
a little-
other than finance.
We got back safely, so that's what matters.
Back to Gloria.
Yes, the financial guru, Miss Olson, you're on.
Good evening. Hopefully this will be briefer than the other presentations. The first item up is Purchase Report A, which is FY26 amendments. First item is for UMB Card Services, an increase of $60,000 for a total of $835,000. The reason for this increase is due to an increase in travel expenses such as ground and air transportation, hotels, point of sale, meals, all related to conferences and athletic tournaments during this fiscal year.
Wait, can I ask what fiscal year we're talking about from when?
26,
Which is when to when?
July 1 of 2025 through June 30th of 2026.
You only got a few more weeks left, John.
$60,000? I get it. I'm okay.
Ask Darren how much it costs to take a softball team to a tournament. Then item B is for Arco Machinery. It's an increase of $10,725 for a total of $40,725. This increase is needed to include the payment of prevailing wages for the services to relocate that automotive program and collision repair from Stenstrom Center for Career Education to the Downtown Training Center per RFP 26-04-D09, moving, rigging, and storage services. The initial amount did not include prevailing wages, and this increase has been attorney reviewed.
They gave us the lowest quote before, it wasn't a bid. And then after questioning probably a third time, they said, oh, wait, no, it didn't include prevailing wage. So they came back with a rate with prevailing wage included in it. And it's still the lowest quote. And that's why we're moving forward with them.
All right, I was wondering why it wasn't in there in the beginning.
Yeah.
Item C is for Profit Software, an increase of $2,000 for the total of $82,000. This increase is needed to cover the annual contractual increase for the college budgetary software. We did not, when it originally went for approval in June of 2025, we weren't totally aware of the total increase that we'd have for this fiscal year. Any questions on Purchase Report A?
So we have two instances where the vendor gave us pricing or didn't gave us pricing that was lower than we expected. One, because the one didn't expect prevailing wage, and the other one didn't tell us about a price increase. Is that?
Profit Software has an annual increase. We're in I think a 3-year contract with them.
Right.
That can be up to a certain percent, and we weren't sure what that exact increase would have been when he did the initial bulk BPO approvals in June of last year.
Okay,
I just received the invoice.
okay. All right. Is there a way you can just, well, okay, budget for the highest increase and then surprise us with something that's less?
I'm planning on doing that.
Yeah. That's how I do it because my board doesn't like me coming back going, you want more? So, any questions?
All right.
Thank you.
Go to purchase report B, FY26 purchases. First item is for Light Strategies, $49,500. This is for the advocacy and lobbying services led by Dr. Leticia Wallace, as approved by Board Report 8349 on January 27, 2026. Following the ad approval, the college engaged Light Strategies to provide services through the current agreement term of February 1st, 26 through December 31st, 26. So this amount will cover all FY26 expenses for those services. Item B is Schneider Electric for $60,881.50. This expense is for the purchase and installation of access control hardware, required software licensing, and associated technical programming and configuration services for the 4th floor of the Health Sciences Center. The current system's Continuum software is no longer supported, and one of the 2 access controls has failed. This loss of function has impacted the majority of the doors on the 4th floor, and users are currently using physical keys for entry. This work will upgrade the HSC 4th floor security program or system in alignment with the phased modernization of our access control and security systems.
Which building is this?
HSC.
When was that building built?
20, it was before I came, 2017, 16?
I knew the answers to my questions. I just wanted it said in public. It just seems to, it's not even 10 years old.
Yeah.
You mean people don't use keys anymore?
No, they don't actually.
No.
Keys are a security threat.
All right, the next item is Canusia for $25,000. This is for the MyCE Platform Elite, which is a concurrent enrollment management software. The MyCE platform will replace 7 separate software systems currently being used by the dual credit office, consolidating the processes into a single integrated solution implementation, and will streamline administrative workflows, improve efficiency, and enhance customer service. This software is the only product able to complete all the functions needed to consolidate these processes, and it will be purchased with the Access and Equity Dual Credit Grant.
Questions?
All right. Item D is to be determined for $32,000. This is to purchase a pre-owned Hyundai Iconic 5 or 6 2024 or 2025 model year to support the instructional use within the automotive and EV training programs. This vehicle features a rear drive motor configuration that is not currently represented in the college's existing EV inventory. And because used vehicles do sell very quickly, the specific vendor will be identified after the board approves this expense.
Haven't we approved for an electric vehicle already, or I seem to remember that.
We have, but this one is, I believe, to replace an old 2012, I can't remember the model, whose technology is no longer current. So this is just continuing to update that EV technology.
Okay.
Who would I ask the question to? How frequently would you expect this to turn around, since all of the hybrid and EV technology changes over fairly quickly? Matter of fact, if Toyota gets their act together, we won't even have lithium-ion batteries in the cars anymore. We'll have solid state. So who would I speak to? Who would answer? How often would we expect to do a replacement of vehicles like this for the automotive training?
We would defer to Dr. Stewart to go find that answer, and then we'll report it back to you.
Right. Don't wing it. So thank you.
Since he's not doing anything anyway.
Item E is a to be determined for an unknown amount right now. This purchase is for the various automotive and collision repair equipment to outfit the automotive program and collision repair program at the downtown campus. Bid 26-03-D12 automotive equipment for downtown campus was released on May 6th of 2026 with bids scheduled to be open on May 20th. Vendor selection and award amount are to be determined pending bid responses. This timing of this purchase is critical due to manufacturer lead times. Equipment must be delivered within a narrow time frame of July 1st through July 17th in order to support the program readiness for the fall semester.
Can we get a hint?
The bids have not been opened yet.
What do you expect?
I cannot answer that question. I do not know.
Is there anybody who can?
Anybody out there, sitting out there, got a crystal ball on you handy? No? Okay, thanks very much.
All right. Report C. Items A through E on purchase report C are all for productions of the summer 2027 season of Starlight Theater. There are 4 main productions. The 5th one is a Star Bright production. The following licensors in New York will be sourced for these productions, which include the Music Theater International, Concord Theatricals, Theatrical Rights Worldwide, and Broadway Licensing.
And that's for next summer, not this summer, right?
Correct, summer of 2027. It's a little late this summer. Item F is for EBSCO for $110,000. This is for the annual subscription renewal of magazines and journals for the library. In prior years, this annual expense was requested within the June purchase reports for BPO renewals, but this fiscal year, the vendor is requiring a signed renewal agreement by June 15th of 2026. So this will not be expensed until fiscal year 27, but we need approval to move forward at the next board meeting. Item G is Pro Spot Illinois for $92,591. This is for the Pro Spot equipment for the collision repair program at the Downtown West Campus. This equipment includes 1 I5S Smart Welder with accessories, 4 welding cubes with integrated fume extractors, and 1 PR8D bonding station. Pro Spot Illinois is the sole source for this equipment in Illinois and Indiana and will support instructional training needs specific to the collision repair program.
John.
Is it says 2027 capital expense. That we're paying it now, but it's from next year's budget or what?
We are not paying it now. We need approval to go forward and create the purchase orders and get the orders placed. It will be paid in fiscal year 27.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Item H is distinctive roofing for $53,952. This is for roofing services to provide comprehensive and preventative inspections and repairs across the college facilities. RFP 26-05 roofing services was released on March 5th or March 4th and opened on March 24th. We received 5 proposals, but 2 were non-responsive. The evaluation criteria included, but was not limited to, experience and qualifications, quality of operational plan, completeness of proposal, and the ability to support the college's multiple and varied roofing systems and cost.
Are they responsible bidders?
Yes, they were. And we have awarded a contract to them in the past for some repair work.
Okay.
Lastly, item I, we had a late addition to the purchase report. It was emailed out to you today. It is for Van Galder Bus Company for $162,790. And this expense is for charter bus services for the Rock Valley College athletic team. Bid 26-06 charter bus services for athletics received 3 submittals, which were opened on April 14th, 2026. This is a non-exclusive 3-year contract with 2 one-year renewal options. This request does not include regional game travel costs, as those dates and places are unknown at this time. This is a fiscal year 2027 expense, but needs approval early so athletics can begin booking their travel dates with them. Any questions?
Questions? None?
All right. That concludes purchase reports.
Thank you.
Next, we have the third quarter vital signs. Give her a minute to pull it up.
Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
How we doing? We looking good?
We're looking good.
Okay, John's got that one out of the way.
That's right. I'm ready to go.
All right. If you want to go to page 3, I believe it is. There we go. Operating funds, Funds 1 and 2, revenue was at $47.5 million as of March 31st, or 68.56% of budget, or if you take out the SERS on behalf at 82.7% of budget. Local government, which is the local real estate taxes, this remaining income will be recognized in the fourth quarter as the college begins to receive the levy year 25 receipts. State government is running behind budget and is expected to fall approximately short by $1.6 million. As we have mentioned in previous meetings, state apportionments will perform below budget expectations. And as a reminder, other sources includes the employee retention credit that we received in August for $3.8 million. And when excluding that additional unbudgeted revenue, other sources still continues to exceed budget projections. Want to go to the next one? Oh, got a question.
John?
No, I have a comment, and while we were down there, there were rumors that there was a $2.1 billion surplus that nobody knew about, but they might expect. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
No one knew anything except the one person.
I thought that was in Wisconsin. I thought Wisconsin.
What?
All right, back to my
Yeah,
report.
back to it.
Whatever.
Operating expenses, we want to go to the next page, please. Operating expenses were at $35.8 million as of March 31st, or 54.67%, or 66.76 budget, excluding that SERS on behalf. Expenses are projected to be at or below budget, and that is leaving the $3.8 million budget contingency intact. Want to go, the next two slides are just the details of Fund 1 and 2. I would like to go to Fund 5, please. As a reminder, Fund 5 includes the Center for Learning and Retirement, Community Education, Workforce Development, Athletics, Starlight Theater. At the end of March, it had a net expense of $327,000. The FY26 budget is a net deficit of $1,428,000, and I would expect to see the same for this fiscal year, as the college will continue to incur expenses during the fourth quarter for athletic tournament travel, and Starlight Theater season has started to ramp up.
Questions?
So, go ahead,
Bob.
Bob.
So you got 2 weeks to go. Any surprises that you anticipate in this fourth quarter? I know John wants to go.
You mean 2 months to go?
Huh?
2 months to go?
2 weeks to go. Oh,
Well, we've got 2 weeks to go in the cycle, so what?
No,
you see any surprises?
no, I don't see any surprises right now.
Okay.
Now, did you just say we have a $1.4 million deficit in our budget?
For Fund 5. For 1.5.
Do you have that covered?
We do cover that. We cover it through the fund balances, so we're fine.
Well, let's turn hands and lose then.
Let's not. All right, let's go to the payroll.
Wait a minute. Fund 5's for travel and meeting expenses?
Fund 5 includes the travel expenses for the athletics.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering if that, that deficit would probably rule out your Hawaii or Florida retreat location, Bob. So there you go.
Yeah.
Speak to me.
All right, the next slide, payroll. Year-to-date is running under budget, and year-to-date is nearly the same as fiscal year 25, and I expect that to continue for the rest of this fiscal year. The next slide just shows the lines as it varies month to month. Let's go to group medical costs, please. Group medical cost year-to-date is running $808,000, or 13.2% ahead of budget, and $1.2 million, or 21.5% ahead of FY25 actuals. This challenge continues to be the high cost of medical services, high cost of specialty and non-specialty prescription drugs, the increase in the number of stop-loss claims, and increased utilization. As a reminder, we are a self-insured insurance plan, and so we bear the cost of all the claims. We continue to monitor our cost, healthcare costs per participant, or if I want to go to the next slide, Healthcare costs per participating employee has increased nearly 5% compared to last year. Any questions?
But they're happier, right? Is that what we heard earlier?
I don't know if they're happy or not with the health insurance.
Well, isn't 5%, isn't that below the average cost of healthcare?
I think she said 5% increase, right?
It's
Yeah.
5% higher per participating employee. So employees, when they enroll, have the option of 3 plans to choose from. So there's the higher cost plan, a middle ground, and then a lower cost HSA program. So it's always a blend of what employees elect to enroll in during the enrollment period. All right. Now let's move to the cash and investment report, please. All right. Operating cash and investments decreased nearly $1 million, ending the month at $97.5 million. This decrease is part of the cyclical nature of revenues for the college, and probably didn't help that the tax bills are not coming out as early as we expected. Total operating cash and investments is at 90.81% of operating budget at April 30th. And as a reminder, when those bonds were issued in May, the funds advanced for the CDB trust account for the CL2 project will be reimbursed to the operating account. Working cash fund decreased $60,231 due to disbursements for the Health Science Center project. And capital funds decreased nearly $2.9 million to $61.8 million as of April 30th. This decrease is attributed to disbursements for the Downtown West project. I would just like to mention regarding those bonds, we did complete the bond sale. It will be closing the last week of May, so it was a very successful sale. Information only, we have the quarterly report of purchase orders between $10,000 and $25,000 for your information. Any other questions?
Are we done with bond sales?
I hope so. That's up to you.
No, I mean, are we done with planned, scheduled bond sales?
Yes.
Okay.
But you'll be contacted to sign that package of documents.
Okay. Do we have an auto pen?
We do not.
I have a quick comment.
Gloria, go ahead.
Yeah, just going back to the health costs presentation, is there any way to gauge whether any plus or minuses in the costs for employees who participate in our wellness programs?
So we have no access because everything is HIPAA. So I cannot tell if an employee who participated in the wellness program, what their claims are.
Okay.
Everything is protected by HIPAA. I have no idea.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Operations discussion. Trojan Trust. You gotta hand it off, Bob? There you go.
Good evening.
Good
I have the
evening.
opportunity to provide to you this evening the Classroom 2 building update. First, I'd like to start off by just saying that the Classroom 2 project touches on all the pillars, but has the greatest impact on access. The new building will improve students' ability to access new features and programs in a safe and accessible building. What you see before you is the draft schedule for the CL2 project, which the Bailey Edwards architect firm released after they completed their negotiations with CDB. Although it might be a bit difficult to see, we are currently in the design development phase after completing the schematic design phase. The project is scheduled to continue with the design and construction document phase through the early parts of 2027. Bidding is scheduled for the second quarter of 2027, and a final completion date has been moved from July of 2028 to December of 2028. The original timeline for a completion date of July 2028 was evaluated by the architect and CDB, and it was determined that the additional time should be added. The RVC team will have to work through this new timeline internally so that the move back into the building is coordinated right after the completion of the fall 2028 semester. Additionally, here is a view of the next several months showing the design development stage. The blank white space is a time to get feedback from the team and CDB before having the final design and development proposal meeting, before the information is given a final review and approved by CDB. Please understand that the schedule is set by the architects but approved by CDB before and is therefore subject to change. As a part of the design development stage of work, the design team begins to focus on specific information in each space. Furniture and equipment begins to be placed in the areas of square footage of each space and is monitored and adjusted to meet the needs of the stakeholders while monitoring overall potential cost. Many details are being added, like scale models of the musical instruments or art tables and kilns are added to each space. The architects are also working on selecting all of the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing equipment and features for the building. With regard to next steps, our design development plans will be reviewed and adjusted as RVC and architects continue to have conversations with our stakeholders, and we will continue to review the costs to ensure that costs are not exceeding our budgeted amounts. Are there any questions?
Just a comment. I appreciate you opening and linking the project to the pillars, but I think this project started before pillars were even formed, before we had a foundry or a mold for it. I think it was 2015 or so when the CL2 kind of the thought of the ask came in. 3 full-time and 1 part-time president ago. So, so thank you very much for the update. I'm glad it's moving ahead. Remind me what the move-in date is again?
We're going from July 2028 to December 2028.
Very good.
Be here before you know it.
What?
Said it'll be here before you know it.
I know. I
We'll
thought we
have a
just,
Merry Christmas.
I thought we just wrapped the tech bus, but it's in and out we're mothballing it. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. And next we'll pull up for your viewing the personnel report. We have 2 full-time faculty placeholders.
Will we see them at the meeting coming up?
Yes, we do anticipate that the searches will be
So you're
completed.
working
and
with
you'll-
some people?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okie doke.
Okay. If no questions about that, then we will move on to the calendar. Just as a reminder, this week is finals week, and so we are working with our students to be able to successfully complete their semester. The college will also celebrate multiple completion ceremonies. If you have not already done so, please RSVP with the Office of the President if you plan to attend any of those ceremonies. And just as a note, Trustee Trojan was asked to speak at the respiratory care pinning ceremony. This month,
Way to go.
in addition, this month is Asian American and Pacific Islanders Heritage Month. The college is sponsoring various events throughout the month. I'd also like to once again remind you that the retiree celebration is Wednesday, May 20th from 2 to 4 p.m. in the Student Center atrium. The following day, on the 21st, the RVC Foundation will sponsor the Golden Eagles Breakfast at 8 a.m. in the Student Center atrium. And I'd also like to announce that on May 30th, the United Stroke Alliance will have the State Line Strides for Stroke Walk here at the campus.
Thank you.
And finally, with regard to the calendar, I'd like to invite Dr. Patrick Pyer to highlight some upcoming athletic events as our athletic teams continue to thrive.
Thank you, Dr. Huntley. Very briefly, A couple of quick updates from athletics. The softball team is currently ranked number 3 in the nation in NJCAA Division II. Last weekend, they won the Region 4 tournament and are heading to the national tournament in Spartansburg, South Carolina from May 19th to May 24th. Our baseball team is currently ranked number 23 in Division II athletics. They play in the Region 4 tournament from May 14th to 16th at Madison College. If they are successful there, they would be on to the national tournament as well the last week of May. Currently, women's golf, the team qualified for the national tournament in Jamestown, New York on June 2nd to June 5th. And one male golfer from the men's golf team, Dietrich Bethke, qualified for the national tournament, also taking place in Jamestown, New York from June 2nd to June 5th. So all four spring teams are headed or in very good position, and 3 of the 4 currently headed to the national tournament.
Good, because we need some more championship T-shirts.
Yes, sir, we do.
As well as trophies.
We like those.
Anything else?
Congratulations.
Thank you. I will pass that along.
Yeah, go get them.
Thank you, Dr. Pyer.
Okay.
And the next 4 items we have are informational only, the first of which is a quarterly employee personnel report. Are there any questions? The second of which is the field turf update. We are still making progress. There is a slight delay due to weather. We need 1 week with no rain. And so we are continuing to work as quickly as we can. And all fields, soccer, softball, baseball, should be done by August 1st. And
I could be sarcastic. How does rain affect plastic turf? But I know it's the underpayment alignment and stuff like that. So there you go.
And then the final 2 documents are change orders. Are there any questions regarding those?
Questions on change orders?
You.
To the best of your knowledge, not to throw you under the tech bus on this one, is there anything unusual in the change orders for either downtown or anything else?
To the best of my
of?
knowledge, no, I'm not
Okay,
aware of
good.
any.
So, and that's safe because you probably don't know. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. This concludes operations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're moving to other business, unfinished business. Any unfinished business?
Yes, I am going to ask Ann Kerwich to just come and just speak to the ICTA and commencement information.
Thank you, Dr. Spearman. Trustees, for those of you who are participating in commencement on Friday, you have a plain brown envelope at your desk, and I know it's not very exciting to open a plain brown envelope, but there is an incentive inside.
Ice cream.
Which is a VIP parking pass. So if you all just would please remember to, when you come to campus, enter off of Mulford Road, because the VIP parking is right over near Starlight Theater. But if you come in, if you insist on coming in off of Springbrook, our police officers will ask you to turn around, go back out, and then come around and enter the campus off of Mulford. They're managing upwards of 1,000 vehicles for these 2 commencement ceremonies. So they're trying to manage all this, and by following their guidelines, we can help them out as well. So you also have in your packet an envelope that gives your ticket to either or both the 2 p.m. and the 6 p.m. ceremonies. The people at the doors don't always recognize you, so to save any embarrassment for anyone, you will, that's why we're giving you a ticket. If you would please just show it when you come in. And if you forget any of the other completion ceremonies that are available, these have been in your packets for the last couple of months, but I also included another copy of the schedule so that if you find that you do have time on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, or any of the other days this week that you can attend any of these ceremonies, please do. So that's right there. You have that in front of you. And then the other item is June 5th and 6th is the ICTA Annual Conference to be held in Lombard. I've sent you a couple of emails asking if anyone is going to attend. A few of you have let me know that you are not available to do so, but if you do plan to attend, I really need to know tomorrow so I can get you registered and we can make the arrangements for payment. And if you're going to stay for the entire ICTA conference, which is Friday during the day and Saturday morning, that would probably require a hotel reservation, and cutoff date is this week as well. So
Who are you
with
looking for
everything
answers
going on,
from?
excuse me,
Who are you looking for answers from?
say again, please.
Who are you looking for answers from? Who hasn't given you a response?
Mr. Nelson.
Yeah, so just call them out. We're all big grown-ups here.
Mrs. Simpson.
Okay.
Will not.
Okay, John, are you going, John?
No, I think I mentioned, but maybe I didn't. I
No.
will be in New York
Oh,
and with the RSO
okay,
fundraiser tour.
okay. Do you need someone to carry your luggage?
No.
Okay.
Well, I need someone to take the ticket
Okay.
to the.
Nobody carries
Great.
his luggage or his water. in there,
Any
you know.
questions from anybody? Let me know. I'll be happy to answer them over email or give me a call at the office.
Have you gotten a response from Jenna or Crystal?
No.
Well,
Okay.
Well, no, I haven't.
Jenna's probably
Jenna's
not.
gone.
Yeah, she's gone. And Crystal probably not, but we'll
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but we're winning an award, so I hope somebody goes for diversity.
Supposed to be embargoed.
I mean,
There's some things that have been embargoed, Trustee Nelson.
I'm on the nominate, or I'm on the committee, and then
So the college
This
didn't
is-
announce it, John did. So you broke,
Oh, I
your
know.
oath as
I'm
a
a terrible
ICTA
person.
trustee.
The other thing is,
Kristen, you want to take that over since he's no good at it?
well, you spoke too soon, Mr. Chairman. I myself am receiving an award because I've attended 15 ICCTA seminars. So I get a recognition, which I will get on the June 5th or 6th when I'm not there.
We'll be sure to pick it up for you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Leave it downstate.
And I had, so as of this moment, we don't have a single trustee going?
That's correct.
Okay, because I had sent you a text or an email saying that if nobody is going, we really should have a trustee there, that I can probably make a quick change. And so unless you hear from the other two that are not here, I'll go, because we really need to have a trustee there.
That would be great.
Thank you, Gloria.
We
the food is
will
free
have
too, so.
a travel van, if you will, of our constituents from the college, so you won't have to drive. We can make sure that we have somebody to drive you.
It will not be me this time.
Okay, I'm going.
Thank you, Gloria.
All right, yes. So count me in then.
Okay. Any other unfinished business?
No, sir.
And I'd just like to say, regarding the most recent upcoming events and future events, I've had some unexpected developments going on, and I won't be able to attend probably the ceremonies even this week. So I apologize. I congratulate all our graduates, certificate holders, everybody, moving forward, advancing in their lives and their careers. It's great. I wish I was young and doing it again myself. So there you go. Nothing else? New business?
No new business.
Okay. Did you want to mention in passing a particular $100,000?
Oh, well, sure, I can speak to that right now. I was talking to Chairman Gorski about potential of earmarking $100,000 to kickstart some of the academic programs at the downtown campus. If you recall, we did something very similar for the Advanced Technology Center, but it was more roughly around the 1.5 million. But we took a long time to spend down those dollars because we were starting to receive a whole bunch of grants. So we were balancing between the two. These two, some of the other programs in the downtown facility already have some grants connected to it. So we're going to focus the 100,000. Top priority would be around kickstarting human services, also working through early childhood education. We already have grant dollars in the other areas, so we would be okay. The way we would cover that cost, CFO spoke about the employee retention credit. And so we'll be able to use those dollars from the employee retention credit to help cover that cost. Right now, it's just a FYI to you. It'll be on the June Committee of the Whole report for your vote, June board meeting.
Okay, any questions? All right. So, no other new business? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session to discuss, 1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting per Section 2C1, and/or 2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees per Section 2C2, all in accordance with the Illinois Opens Meeting Act. And an entertain a motion from
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Trustee Blake, seconded by John Nelson. Roll call.
Nelson,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Trojan, yes. Padilla,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Gorski.
Yes. All right, so who do we need?
Ellen Olson, Vice President, and Dr. Terica Huntley will be the two. And of course, our attorneys, Joe Prokowski and Liz Becker.
By who? John.
No? Okay, we're good? Okay, we're reconvening into open. We talked a lot, didn't really come to any conclusions, and closed. So the next regular Board of Trustees meeting is here on May 26, 2026 at 5:15 PM. And the next Committee of the Whole meeting is here, June 9th. Yeah, 2026 at 5:15 PM, the evening of my wedding anniversary. Yoo-hoo! All right. This, again, will be held here. If you don't have any questions on that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Gloria Cadu, seconded by Isaiah. Okay.
Seconded.
All right, roll call.
Nelson, Simpson,
Yes.
Trojan, yes. Kudia, Blake,
Yes.
Gorski.
Yes. Isaiah.
Isaiah.
No, Gloria and Isaiah.
Yeah.
Moved and second.
Yeah.
Don was pretty quiet this meeting. I didn't hear him say
Yeah.
anything.
I forgot. It's
All right.
Isaiah's last.
Oh, let me get out your way.